Hi, everyone. Welcome to 5 Day Snacks, your go to podcast for insights on thriving in dynamic and fast growing teams. Here, we aim to reflect, pause, and rethink our daily grind for a better, more human future. I'm your host, Mansi, and today I'm joined by a very special guest Nitesh Agarwal. Nitesh is a serial entrepreneur and a product builder who has taken multiple ventures from zero to one, scaled them into multi-million dollar successes, and successfully exited. He's currently with Videoverse, where he's exploring the intersection of AI, creativity, and human decision making. Um, let's give a very warm welcome to Nitesh. And Nitesh, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Mansi. Thank you for having me here. Really excited to for this conversation, and I've seen the product, how you guys have evolved. So great job there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, so before we get started, to set some expectations for our listener, today we are talking about what it truly means to build and rebuild in this fast-moving times. We are going to talk about scaling. We are going to talk about how creativity is being redefined by in the AI-first world, and we'll explore how reflection and adaptability shape our long-term successes in this world. All right, Nitesh, let's dive right into it and let's start by looking back. A question I have for you is, across your zero to one journey, what is the most recurring pattern that you have noticed around in your Faro builders, and what's the one thing that's helped you and one thing that's held you back?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there are multiple patterns that I see across the board, but a few highlights from that list is going to be like. So I know it is a little bit of a cliche, right? But uh, making something that people want, it's a very crucial thing that we often overlook, right? I mean, back in the time, early in my journey, I would just like go and build things and assume like people would like it or people would buy it, but that is
Right,
actually in reality never the case, right? So I mean, even our current journey, video works, right? We started with a very different product, but then figured, okay, nobody wants this, right?
right,
And then we spoke to a lot of people, and they said, hey, here's the problem that needs to be solved. And then we started solving that problem, and then realized, hey, there's a big market for this. Let's go and solve
right.
this problem as well. Right? So it boils down to like, I mean, are you actually making something that people really want, or no? And of course, there's a science behind figuring it out. But there is a recurring pattern that I see. Like every time, like when I see like a breakout startup, they were able to figure out a need in the market
Right.
that is sort of unaddressed, right?
Yeah.
So that is there, and then uh, you need to put the hours, right? I mean, no one no one becomes successful by not putting in the hours, right? So
Yeah.
I see this trend coming in called 996, right? We have been doing this for last, I don't know, like a decade or so, right? So it is
Right.
nothing new, right?
Yeah.
You have to put in the hours. There's no workaround around this. And there is like a common thing that I see across my founder friends, like there is something I have done myself as well. Um, and then something that has held me in the past is that uh I mean, it is both a good and a bad thing, right? Often as a founder, you aim for like that perfect thing, like perfect feature. It has to like have that perfectness. The copy should be perfect, like the
Yeah.
behavior should be, like the loading time should be perfect, like everything should be perfect, right? But then um over the course of time realize that not really. I mean, even if like, I mean, 70% there, you should like launch it and see like how people are reacting to it.
Yeah.
uh I mean, there have been times where I've worked on a feature for like couple of months, right? When we launched, no one was using it at all, right? Because people didn't really want that particular thing, right? They just want like a piece of that.
Yeah.
So and there is something that sort of like that I'm trying to overcome as well,
Hmm.
that I want to make sure like, okay, the design should be like pixel perfect, right? The implementation should be pixel perfect, right? And all those
Yeah.
things. But it doesn't really matter if you ship fast.
Hmm. Right. Okay. Talking about fast, actually, the this is sort of a question that I had been thinking about since I reached out to you, which was that what is one lesson, or what is one hard-earned lesson rather, that you would have observed, or you would have noticed is about scaling too fast, be it with product, people, or priorities when you work? Because as
Hmm.
we know, software as an industry, when you're working in it, it just moves way, way, way too quickly for our regular human pace, right? We talked about 996 as well. So what would you
Yeah.
say is a good sort of a tip or a lesson that you'd have for people who work in this environment?
Yeah, again, that's a great question. I have done this myself. I mean, I scaled, I raised uh, like millions of dollars in funding, and then like use that funding to like, hire lots of people, like do lots of marketing, right,
Yeah.
events and everything. Um, but then over the course of time, I realized that it you need to scaling fast is important, right?
Hmm.
But it's happened at the right time. And the
Right.
definition of right is you know that there's something that is working really, really well, right?
Hmm.
And you'll see that in metrics, right? For example, your retention rates, once you onboard a customer, the retention rate is like absurdly high. Your
Yeah.
net revenue retention is north of 100%, right? People are like just people are referring you by themselves, right, without you asking them.
Yeah.
So there'll be signs, right? Once those signs are in place, right, then scaling fast becomes relevant.
Hmm.
Another thing that I've seen is that in my previous company, Dive, where we were I mean, early on, we were a very small team of about like 15 odd people, right?
Hmm.
But then like something we did some growth hacks, and suddenly I mean, within the span of 1 month, we grew around 100x, right?
Oh,
And our systems were not built for that, right? I mean,
right.
our emails are failing, right? And there were a lot of like, I mean, like a lot of weird network issues that we were seeing, right?
Right.
Uh, so this is also like a hard-earned lesson, right? You need to make sure like okay, you have like some things in place before you know like okay, this is going to scale, right?
Right.
Again, you don't have to be perfect there. You
Hmm.
just need to make sure that it will work, right?
Hmm.
In this kind of setup. So
Hmm.
both things, I mean, just scaling the number of users, or the scaling of number of people, right?
Right.
If you can be really conservative about all these things, right? Like
Hmm.
okay, you'll hire only when you're ready for scale.
Right.
You'll make sure that you're ready for scale, right? Then it really makes sense to put as much gas on the fire as much as
Hmm.
possible.
Yeah.
And there's no holding back. You shouldn't hold back then. Right? But until you have like these key things figured out, it doesn't really make sense to scale very fast.
Right. 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 Yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. Again, I think, as you said in the beginning of the call, that these are some really, fundamental things. But more often than not, as you scale, given how fast things are going, people do
Yeah.
tend to forget that. Absolutely. All right. Tell me this, Nitesh, that you have exited multiple companies, and talking about 996 and talking about putting in the work, my question to you is that what is the one belief about founder grind, or startup energy, that you've completely outgrown
Hmm.
or are
Uh,
not sustainable anymore?
yeah. I mean, it becomes a part of the life, like over the course of time, once you like keep doing it, right? So just that, I mean, like that amount of work, or the hours of work that you have put in, right? That becomes like just a regular part of life, right? I
Right.
was listening to Jensen Wong from NVIDIA recently, right? And he was telling me that he was telling us that uh I mean it's a part of life, like I mean he's saying that I work 7 days a week, right?
Right.
Even if I'm not working, I'm thinking about work, right? I'm thinking
Hmm.
about like okay, how will this go, what kind of bet should I make, right? And so on, right? So it just becomes a part of the life, I guess, right?
Right.
And uh, so I believe that it doesn't necessarily feel like a grind once you really like what you do and you see like
Right.
okay, hey, this out there, right? So you are just like I mean willing to put in the work, right? And that becomes a part of your day-to-day life. It is
Hmm.
not necessarily like hey, I'm looking for the work-life balance, right? If you're looking for work-life balance, then I guess founder life is not for
Yeah.
you, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I mean my people in my family and like whoever are entrepreneurs, it's small scale, large scale, right? They will miss out on events because they have to run a shop, or they will
Yeah.
run their business. Right? So it is just like this is how entrepreneurship is, right? I mean, you need to put in the
Right.
hours, you need to that grind, right? And 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 if you have to love what you do, right? I mean, so for example, let's say if you're doing if so there's a very nice podcast that I heard like a while back. So that guy was saying that uh the working the work that you're putting in should be so exciting that other things like entertainment, watching Netflix, playing games
Don't
should
matter.
feel less exciting against the work, right? So the work that
Right.
you're doing, is building, writing content, or like whatever you're doing, right? It should feel
Yeah.
like so exciting that the other things that you'll do if you're not working, like
Hmm.
feels less exciting. Right? So
Hmm.
that is really stuck with me, right? And I try to prioritize that above everything else, right? And
Yeah.
if I don't like a particular part of the job, right, I hire someone for that, and they
Right.
do that. So
Right.
so it is just like this is just a part of life, and this is just a part of entrepreneurship.
Right. I think what you said actually reminded me of something I read a couple of days on LinkedIn, a couple of days ago on LinkedIn, by Paras Chopra, if you might know him. Wingify is, yeah. So
Yeah.
Paras actually wrote a really great post where he was like, the biggest competitive advantage you can have as a professional and as a person who is working is to see everything like play. So if you take your
Hmm.
work as work, then it will
Hmm.
become boring, it will become repetitive. And chances are that the 99.99% of people you meet or you work with do look at their work as work. And they'll do look
Yeah.
at it as a list of chores. But if you look
Hmm.
at everything as play, as interesting enough to, solve and move on to the next thing, then I think that will be your biggest advantage and you'll never get bored of it. It'll never be
Hmm.
something you have to get done with and move on. So yeah,
Hmm.
that's what it actually reminded me of what he was saying.
Yeah, that's a very nice way of looking at it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it should feel like a play, right? So you can actually make your regular work a play as well by
yeah,
like just curious about like, hey, how can I automate this? How can I use
yeah,
maybe like to do this better, right? So
exactly.
once you're doing that, you'll also like you'll also A, grow generally in your
Yeah.
career, and B, you'll also feel like there's some sort of accomplishment that is happening when you're automating
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Actually, speaking of AI and automation, I do have a couple of questions to you about that. Moving on to really exciting questions now, which I really look forward to, you answering. Is that you've built across eras. You've built for mobile, you've built for SaaS, and now you're building for AI. I want to know what your mindset shift is in terms of if this new AI wave, uh, what does it demand from founders beyond just, technical adaptation in their teams? How do you think founders or team leaders or even team members how should they sort of perceive AI and use that in their daily life to, as you said, make it more efficient and make it more playworthy so it keeps being interesting to them? Because I think there's a lot
Yeah,
of fear around it right now, which I think
yeah,
should really be destigmatized.
yeah. No, I think AI is it's amazing, Like I think the way we are this is like a next generation of industrial revolution that is happening. Like the even like very large companies like Salesforce, like SAP, right?
Yeah,
This is the first time that has happened that they are at risk. It feels like they are at risk now, right?
yeah,
And because like the playbook is very different in this world, right? The AI native products look very different, and we've seen the companies scaling to hundreds of millions of dollars in revenues in a very short span of time. Like you look at
yeah,
Lovable, you look at Vimify, right? Cursor, there are a bunch of them, right?
yeah,
So I think inherently with AI, what we see in our own product as well, that that it just like delivers value on day one, right? So let's say in case of SaaS, right? You have to get the team adoption done. You have to make sure
yeah,
that okay, like everyone learns how to use a particular tool, right? You have to have right integrations, like to actually get some value out of the box, right?
yeah.
But with AI, the playbook is very different. For example, in Lovable, right? One prompt will give you a website or like an app, right?
Right.
I mean, with any SaaS app, let's say with Webflow, others, right? If you compare like with a Viz, right, it'll take
Yeah.
at least like 4 weeks for you to like get something. Right here,
Correct.
the time to value is so incredibly low that you would want to like give value to users or to your customers as fast as possible. Right?
Right.
So there is a significant shift that we see that is happening because of AI. Is that the time to value has reduced dramatically,
Hmm.
right? And we're seeing this across the board, right? Whenever let's say an enterprise is adopting any AI product, right? In our
Yeah.
case as well, like I mean, back in the time, they would take like I mean 4 5 weeks to to their job, right? Now once they implement us, it really takes like an hour to do
Right.
that to do the work. So this is very fascinating, and this is like a good framework to think about as well. Is that is the time to value, right? What is your time to value? And second thing is like now let's say with SaaS, right? It was difficult to measure the results directly, um, because then someone will actually use your product to go and achieve something that they have set out to do, right?
Right.
But with AI, you can actually like measure things end to end. You can go and own and things end to end,
Yeah.
right? So you can literally measure the amount of value that you're providing and can potentially capture the piece of pie there as well, which was not really possible in the SaaS era of things, right?
Right.
I see that as a major shift towards like how you think about the problem framing, how you think about
Hmm.
the value delivery, right? Uh, so it is not about users anymore, right? I mean, number of people using and stuff. Right? It is about the amount of value that you're delivering
Yeah.
to your customer, right? The more and more you solve for that from the get-go, the more powerful that you become, right?
Hmm.
And sometimes it is like so I see like founders, they have this negative connotation around building a wrapper on top of, let's say, your Chat GPT or your
Yeah.
Cursor or your Claude and other
Yeah.
LLMs. But I don't see that as a problem at all. You know, like everyone is a wrapper on AWS, right?
Right.
But there are few cloud companies like AWS, right? So
Yeah.
this is to be the case as well. There'll be like few infra companies
Yeah.
OpenAI, like Claude, like Google, and maybe some others, right? But there'll be a lot of apps that will be built on this, right? And new ways of value delivery will be possible, which was not possible before. So
Right.
I'm actually very excited about this, and I see that a lot of new age companies are going to come in,
Hmm.
that are going to disrupt the old playbook, right?
Hmm.
And do something very exciting and interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I think I would just sort of dig a little deeper here and piggyback off of what you said. Uh, we did talk about all the amazing, thing people are now able to achieve due to AI. But I think piggybacking off of that, my next question is, given the state of AI currently, what do you think is the one thing that people are overestimating about it, and what is the one thing people are yet still to this date underestimating about it right now, especially as in the product and SaaS market?
Uh, yeah. I think I'll go with underestimating first, right?
Hmm.
Often it happens that like you'll try an AI tool and you'll say like, hey, this is garbage, right? I mean
Right.
the quality of output is very bad, right? It is not. I can do like a much better job if I do it manually, right?
Hmm.
But don't forget that this is as of today, right? In the next 6 months, there'll be a new model that will come in, let's say GPT-6 or GPT-7,
Yeah.
right, and whatnot, right? And that will outperform the current model. And the rate of innovation is so high here is that
Hmm.
even if it works, if even if it somewhat works today, it
Hmm.
will definitely work 5 6 months, 1 year down the line.
Down the
Right?
line.
And
Correct.
talk like, I mean, like, very short time. Like 1 year is not a long time when it comes to building a business, right?
Correct.
So things are improving at a very amazing pace, and now it is on us. Like how do we become a part of the journey, right? And how do we ride with that,
Hmm.
right? This has to do with computing powers, right? Back in the time, um, like high graphic software will not work, right? It used to, I mean, in let's say in Windows 95, like people are very afraid of building like like high quality apps,
Right.
because it won't work on the Windows 95 like at that point in time, like 512 MB RAM, right?
Correct.
Today mean, now the computers have grown like so big that you can actually run very heavy applications on your Mac, right? Which was
Yeah,
impossible before. So,
yeah,
so this is going to be the same as well, right? I mean, back in like what feels like a not so good product right now will become a good product in a very short span of time. And this is
right.
and underestimate this, right? I mean, we think, okay, like, hey, the results are not good from this AI tool that I'm using, so AI is
Yeah,
garbage. True, actually,
right.
like
But it's
it's
more
almost
so about recognizing the potential it has down the
yeah,
line. Right.
yeah. And that is a very big thing that I see, right? And on the overestimating side, like adoption, right? We
Hmm.
think that every company would be like just every enterprise would be using just like heavy AI everywhere, right? That is
Yeah,
actually not the case, like
right,
I speak to so many enterprises, and uh, they want to use AI, but the adoption is just not there yet,
right.
right? And, it will grow over the course of time, of course, but as of
Hmm.
today, the
Hmm.
adoption is not as much as you would expect it to be, right? Now
Right.
this gives you, it's like, one is there's a lot of opportunity to build, right?
Hmm.
Because like new playbooks will be written, right? And enterprises will be using like a bunch of these tools down the line. um right, so there's also like a good and bad thing.
Yeah,
The bad thing is that you don't see like that much adoption. Like even if they come in startups, right, you would expect everyone should be using ChatGPT, but
yeah.
not really. Like in the like even if in a fast growing startup, right, the ChatGPT adoption would be around like 50-60%. That's it, right? I mean,
Right.
there's still like people who are not using ChatGPT at all. That in their work
Yeah.
in their work. Right. So there's still a lot of adoption has to be done.
Hmm.
That is that hasn't we haven't reached there yet, right?
Right.
So we I mean, we overestimate this, like everyone would be using ChatGPT, but it's actually not the case.
Right, right, right. I think it also just sort of ties back to the point you mentioned earlier about underestimating it, where people just don't think that it's capable enough. But I think that is because they judge it from the same lens of human capability rather than looking at it as an innovation that can scale down the line.
Yeah. I
Uh,
agree.
Yeah. I think sort of speaking of human capabilities and also speaking of the product that your own company has created, what I would like to know is what are some of the assumptions about human creativity or human decision making that you are changing your let's say idea around as you are building an AI first or AI central product, right? Because a lot of times that's what people are scared of as well. AI replace, like you see a lot of fear mongering happening on a lot of social media platforms also, right? That AI is going to replace your jobs and AI is going to take this. But I think people do sort of fail to look at it as a tool that will aid and abet what skills they already have and
Mhm.
help them do faster. So,
Yeah.
how are you sort of, trying to reposition or sort of wrap your product and idea around that conversation?
Yeah. So I think for us, it's I mean, we don't talk about like people job replacement or something like that, right? We just say
Yeah,
like you'll be able to produce 10x more output compared to what you're doing, right?
yeah,
And sorry about that. So the more output in our business, like the more output you produce, the more eyeballs you get, the more revenue you have, right?
right.
So it is just when you keep your team as is, right?
Hmm,
And let them focus on the creative aspect of things rather than just the operations part, and
right,
you generate 10x more output, right?
right,
And this is truly the case across the board for a bunch of AI companies. Like for example, there's a company called Harvey Legal, right, in the US, where they help firms, like law firms, automate their work, and they assist lawyers in their work, right?
right.
So once you adopt Harvey, you don't actually fire people. You just
Right.
do 10 times, right?
Yeah,
So your fee per employee increases, right? And that helps you just to communicate to your clients better, respond to their queries faster, draft like contracts faster, and so on, right?
yeah,
So this so it is actually more about productivity gain rather than like losing job, right? And
right.
I see that as a major, like advantage or like uplift in
Hmm,
terms of like just deploying AI in the right way, right?
right.
So there as well, if, for example, like ad agencies, right? back in the time, I remember ad agency would take like a week to generate 5 to 10 creatives, and then
Right.
they'll take 1 week to experiment, see the results, and then they'll iterate. They'll actually work in weekly cycles, right?
Yeah.
Now people are working hourly cycles, right? I mean, you give a
Yeah.
prompt, it'll 5 ads for you. You one click deploy, right? You get the feedback. Again, they create ads, and just generate like 100 more ads and then deploy. So this is really amazing because now the rate the rate of creativity deployment has gone very high. So you can be
Yeah.
really creative, and you can just like do a lot more with the limited set of tools or limited set of things that you have.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the best way to uh put it, which is that you don't fire people if you employ something, you just produce what you do faster and 10x more.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for sure. All right. I think my next question to you would be that if you were starting from scratch today with no playbook, no baggage, what principles would you absolutely carry forward? Which principles would you discard in order to scale faster, given the technology has evolved and given that things can be done much more
Mm.
efficiently and quickly now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think a few things that I'm actually actively think about doing is uh in the world of AI, right?
Yeah.
Back in the time, uh, it used to be the playbook where you would give your product for free,
Mm.
and people use it and see like if it is helpful. And once it is helpful, once you see usage, then you start charging.
Yeah.
Right now, I see that playbook just turned upside down, where like you'll be able to provide value very fast because you're using AI under the hood, right? And then
Yeah.
you charge day one, right?
Mm.
And then you charge a decent amount, right? I mean, back in time, I'm like $10 per user per month used to be like a good pricing. Right now, it has gone to like $50-$60 per user per month, right?
Yeah.
So uh, so that has like a that has really impacted the way we operate as well. For example, if you're building a new product, we just like charge for it from the get-go, right?
Yeah.
And we can give some discounts, like, okay, hey,
Mm.
I mean, maybe it won't work as you're expecting, like you can improve it, right? But you just charge from day one,
Right.
right? That is like a very crucial uh, change when it comes to dealing with the AI products,
Yeah.
particularly. And I'm talking about SaaS and like enterprise product, not the consumer
Mm.
side. Consumer side is
Right.
different. But even consumer side, I'm seeing like, I mean, people hitting the paywall right away, and not like getting anything for free. Right?
Yeah.
That is like one key thing. Right? And second thing is the rate of iteration. Right? The rate of iteration has really, I would just recommend go and launch something like in a day, take
Mm.
feedback, and then iterate the next day, and so on, right?
Yeah.
So that has really changed the way you build products as well, or the way you
Yeah.
market them, because now you can literally like use tools like Cursor, Cloud Code to create those features and those products in a very short span of time. So the
Yeah.
time to something is gone like very dramatically low, right? I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. Like you can literally build a web app, if you want to build a web app in a couple of days on tools like Lovable Cursor, right?
Yeah.
And then take 1 day to create hundreds of ads, serve everyone, see what is working, right? Onboard them, and see the traction, and see like, okay, like, hey, which cohort is working the best, and then hone on that particular cohort. It's literally
Yeah.
from idea to actually like a sort of working something. You can
Yeah.
get there in a which used to take months, right?
Yeah.
So that playbook looks very different now compared to like how it used to be.
Right. 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 Absolutely. Yeah. That makes complete sense. All right. I think, Nitesh, my concluding question to you would be for someone listening to this who is chasing momentum, but also craving clarity. Since you've scaled, and exited so many multiple firms now, what is the one practice or mindset that you would impart to them in order to build sustainably and carry on the momentum?
Yeah, no, I think momentum builds. I mean, I have a very different take here. So I think momentum gets you clarity, right?
Right.
The uh, so more momentum, essentially more things to look at. It gives like, I mean, more different perspectives, and then gives you clarity as well. Just like one extra step that I'll add there is
Hmm.
like, if you have a lot of momentum, you make sure that uh you take a pause on like few hours of the week, right?
Right.
And you think about what is going on, and you strategize, and you write things down, right? So for example, I've been following this practice for a very long time now. So I'll carve out like around 3 to 4 hours on a weekend,
Hmm.
and I'll go and sit in a new cafe, right? And I'll just
Right.
like work there, and I'll just like put down all my thoughts. Okay, this is happening. How, or, like, this is a challenge. This is going to be this is going to be a problem in the future. This is something working very well, and this needs to be worked upon, and so on. Right? So this gives us a lot of clarity in terms
Yeah.
of like to focus on, like things to prioritize, and so on. So uh, so I believe like momentum is amazing. It gets you a
Yeah.
lot of clarity. But just to structure that, you need to spend time and thinking time, little thinking time by yourself
Yeah.
to get to the right action. And of course, you will make mistakes, and it is okay to make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
But like being very thoughtful about the actions that you're taking. Like, okay, we are going to work on this particular solution because
Yeah.
of Y and Z reason, right? And
Right.
you have to do wrong, right? And that is completely okay. But just like thinking about it and doing that work will potentially put people like they'll be better off than not doing it. Right?
Right.
So I do believe that momentum plus work plus like putting in that thinking time really gets you a lot of clarity.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that makes complete sense. This was a very interesting and fun conversation, Nitesh, and I really enjoyed speaking to you about everything, your mindset as a founder, how AI is impacting our current industry, what people should look out for, and how it can make AI work for them. Thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us here today. I really appreciate it, and it was really great speaking to you.
Amazing. Thank you for having me on. We really enjoyed the conversation as well.
Yes, absolutely. And to our listeners, thank you for joining in today. And remember to reflect, pause, and rethink. Until next time.